Recording in progress.
I'm curious about how our hospital measures safety for the patients and employees. I know that we've implemented standards of care and other stuff in our hospital, but it seems like from a nursing perspective, there's a lot of shortcomings in safety for our patients. And I'm just curious, to know about that. And then also, I'm curious where management sees the opportunity for communication and collaboration, because I know that we have meetings and we go to charge nurse meetings, staff nurse meetings, and it's very specific to the agenda and very little room for open communication and dialogue. And then we have PPC, and I appreciate again that Mr. Gay has been attending NQF, but it's kind of sporadic where we have the ability to communicate with management. And I want to feel like there's those opportunities for discussion and collaboration. I can say that I was grateful to have that opportunity in the previous meeting that we were just in for workplace violence. I'm hoping that we're pushing forward though with some of these ideas and making it a safer place. And then I think one of my biggest frustrations is lack of policies that are up to date. I am really, really frustrated when I go to a policy and I'm disregarded because they tell me that I don't have to utilize that policy because it's not up to date. Well, then it really shouldn't be on the policy manager, because that is a guidance for me as a tool on how my standard of practice is. And it's repeatedly been an issue. I can name a bunch of policies that are outdated, and I've been very patient in saying, when are we going to get these updated? But I don't see them. And again, there's a lot of staff that would be willing to help with policies that have done policies in the past. They need to be updated. I feel like it's a safety concern. That's all I got.
Thank you very much. Give me a second to finish. Louise, I think you're up.
I want to thank everybody for having me here today. And I just wanted to bring up something that we've been talking about as staff for frontline staff for a little bit, and that's what we can do to be heard when there are violent situations in our employment. Usually it's patients assaulting us, that sort of thing. Recently there was a situation where the police were called and they didn't consider that it was appropriate for them to press charges against a patient in the hospital who assaulted a staff member. And I wanted to see what the hospital, as a community hospital, is doing to coordinate with other parts of our community, like the police, or to find a solution to or have a discussion about how police can be involved in addressing our violent patient interactions. We have a relationship with Watsonville PD as a community, piece of the community.
Thanks, all three of you. Has anybody else thought of something they'd like to say while those three were speaking?
I have one other thing that came to my mind.
Sure, please.
And that is having nutritious food available after hours for staff and families who are here.
Kirsten?
I don't have much to say. This is my first time attending, and I really wanted to get a pulse on what the needs and the goals were. So this is what we bring forward.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Be done in this thing.
And I think it's a great informative website.
Nice you speak up. My hearing aids on it.
Oh, I said this is a great form, and I'm just getting used to it.
Thank you. I thought your nod was, yeah, you were ready to go. Kelly, I didn't look at that. You have any?
No, I think these are very, very good and coordinate with everything that we and the staffing that we have that we're working with. And especially I would encourage anybody who, like you stated, you have lots of policies and procedures you know about that are incorrect. Write them down, get them to us, get them to, so we can just correct them. If there's any lab or any area, just, I'm curious, I don't know who would be appropriate. We can determine who that would be appropriate, that we can just get that moving and get that corrected, because they're not hard to fix. They're easy to get going. And that is really important that we have the right policies and procedures. Absolutely. And definitely, these are great things about the nutrition and food, because we have people who can't eat on weekends. There's nothing for anybody in this. That's been going on for a very long time since we moved from having people during the weekends and all those hours and cut those hours back. It's been happening for years. And that's been a concern. And also now, especially we're a community, we want to make sure that the people coming in feel that they can be fed or have an outlet, what do I think? A place to go, or at least know where they're coming, rather than we have to direct them accordingly. Oh, you have to walk, turn around here, go over here, and directions to Watsonville to get food if they're not familiar with it. Those are all, I think, really outstanding. And I'm shaking my head going, yeah, these are good that you guys are here bringing this up.
All right, thank you all.
Director
Rosa,
Kellogg, really
yes.
quick, just also want to read into the record that Kelly Strickling arrived.
Please. Rosie, in terms of other members of the committee taking time to speak, what's your guidance?
I believe that committee members can speak on this item. That's fine.
To clarify, this is discussion.
It's item number 3,
item
ongoing
number
development.
3.
I'm not a formal member of the committee, but
Please.
can I speak?
Yes, I think so.
I just want to appreciate it. Just echo what Kirsten said. I appreciate this forum. I'm glad we're getting this meeting re-energized and re-kicked off, and I think we'll have some new members to it, which will be tremendous. Thank you for all of your time here on this committee as well and continuing. Dr. Gallagher and I have been talking about this for a while. A lot of things that we've talked about in NQF, and I've only just started coming to those, and I'm excited to keep coming to those and keep having those conversations. And I think, we're getting a good to-do list. We know we've got a lot of things to work on. We know we're not where we want to be in terms of all of this work that we're talking about here. And so I'm looking forward to partnering as best we can. That's my goal.
Thank you. Has anyone else? Something else struck them? All right, then.
I think most of, I've learned anything working here in community and in community dialogue goes a long way, right? So as long as there's open communication and forums such as this, or with our partners, outside partners, because I do know that this hospital does partner with police, with multiple nonprofit organizations, myself, MACO, CNO, we've been very engaged with the community, which I think really led to the success of community ownership. So that I wholeheartedly feel that this hospital and the team and staff members have done, the nurses have done an amazing job. But I think, it's these venues and opportunities such as this committee that's gonna help. How can we bridge the gap? How can we connect the dots? So recognizing that what we want is this much, but if we can just move one dot at a time, it's progress. It's progress. And so I think today, just by having an open venue of discussion is progress. We're steering in the right direction.
Thank you. The next item down on the agenda is new appointees. I have a list before me. The existing members are June Ponce, Elizabeth Slanovich, Carol Kulik, Kelly Strickland. The people who have expressed an interest: Valerie Panzich, Kirsten Palmquist, Trina Demar, Rahman Cosby, Louise Pierce, Gregor Gaboni, and Roseanne Ferris. The bylaws require that 2 board members, 3 senior managers, and the rest made up as we see fit as a mix. Let me sort of do some arithmetic for a second. June, let me ask, I had sent an email saying, my recollection is you were appointed when you were still part of the administration. I have a little note here, says you would be happy to stay or go. My ask was to thank you for your participation, and unless you want to stay strongly, then I would sort of ask you to step away.
Well, I did receive your email, thank you. I think my position is to ensure that there's appropriate, not appropriate, but enough board members or committee members so you continue to have quorum and make the committee success.
Sure.
That's ultimately my first and my goal is to
Sure.
ensure that there's enough committee members. I'm very supportive of the hospital, this committee, and my rationale for my answer of whether yes or no, when to step down is all based on, okay, let's grow the committee, and because I understand people's schedule is sometimes complicated. And so I just want to ensure the success of the committee and the hospital. So I stand with that. If I am needed, absolutely, I am 110% committed to remain here, and we get additional board members. I am willing to step down to allow opportunities for others.
Thank you. Lizzie and Kelly, by your presence, I assume you were also likewise. Rosie, has Carol Kulik been in contact with you at all?
Not recently, not in the last, weeks.
Might I ask, is she still employed and still
Yes.
supervisor and,
She is.
okay.
She works night shift.
Oh. Okay.
I apologize, I did hear from her in response to interest going forward, but I did not hear from her in the last week or so as to whether or not she would prefer me to be here today.
Rosie, can I ask your help with the senior management members? June is the only one listed.
Correct, but I believe, and Steve, correct me if I'm wrong, that the intention on the writing, or the composition of this committee was 2 board members and 3, was it 3 executive? Or
Yes.
at least 3 of any of the following
I think it was
positions?
3 senior
I
managers.
think it says senior managers or
Yeah.
senior leaders.
On some of this, Matco, I've seen you listed. Steve, I would assume you would.
I would be fine to be a member. I would also, recommend that we, nominate Matt and Phyllis and Margaret as the people who, Margaret overseeing human resources and Matt and Phyllis having the departments that have most of the employees. And then I will continue to come and be a active participant, but not necessarily a voting member. That would be my thought.
Margaret and Phyllis, you both okay with that?
Yes, for the time I'm still here.
Yeah, understood.
I'll pass the torch.
Thank you much. So then we have seven open slots. Sorry, we have 2 more, so we have 5 more open slots. I had asked Louise if she would be an alternate since Roseanne and Valerie both work in ICU. She was fine with that. Kirsten, with you being present, would you be willing to be an active new member? Then I think that would make up the 5. That would be Valerie, Kirsten, Gregory, and Roseanne. Others are welcome to be alternates, which would be Trina and Robin. That's all right with you. And this is an open meeting. People are able to come, and for instance, today we have a lot of time. Other people could have the opportunity to speak. Have I been clear enough down your end, Rosie?
I just want to make sure, Louise you mentioned would be on the committee or alternate?
Alternate.
Alternate. So Louise, Trina, and Robin will be alternates.
Like that. I'm fine with that, but what is the role of the alternate?
I think if the person who's a member can't attend, the alternate would come in their place. And I think it could be a pool of alternates rather than, for instance, Valerie can't come today, so you are her alternate. I think it works better if it's a pool of alternates is my assessment. And I haven't seen that that's restricted. And then you would sort of be a member for voting really is, anybody's able to speak to this really for voting.
Yeah, the alternates are always welcome to come to every single meeting, just if, depending on how many regular members, they may or may not have a vote on that particular day. If there's something to be voted on.
And on that note, would encourage alternates to plan to attend.
Yeah, right, yeah, please.
Yeah,
Director Gallagher, I just want to make sure I have the list correct then for all three, for the staff and for the execs and for alternates, if you would mind going over that one more time.
So the three execs would be Matco, Phyllis, and Margaret. The two board members, myself and Marcus. Sorry for laughing. I can't say director. It makes me laugh just a little bit. The formality is a little more than. And then the other members would be Valerie Panzich, Kirsten Palmquist, Gregory Gaboni, Roseanne Ferris. And there's one other. Sorry, Kelly. Thank you so much, Kelly. Kelly and Liz. Yeah.
Correct, okay.
May I clarify, is this
Kelly
monthly?
and
Pardon?
May I clarify, is this monthly or quarterly?
We'll get to that in a little bit. It's probably gonna be in the middle. I'm gonna ask for every other.
Every Monday.
I see.
so Rosie, did you get
Yes,
Kelly and Lizzie?
yes, I had Val, Kirsten, Greg, Roseanne, and then Kelly and Elizabeth.
Could I hear a motion? And,
I have a clarifying question. So prior to these meetings, we had voted in additional members on, and it was a large group. Did we vote on?
Whittling it down?
Yes.
there's a bylaw revision, 12 members maximum.
Well, actually, we got to the short list we have here today due to people departing at the hospital.
So do we have to make a motion just excusing?
Anyone who is still with us and would need to be excused, yes, I would believe need to be put into that motion. To add into. Remove. Is that?
I don't know if we actually closed the loop of the people, of the individuals who left.
Who left due to the fact that they're no longer employed. Just put it on the
Exactly.
record.
I think we need to have it on
Yes.
record.
I'll need to
because-
historically dig those names up, but we can. Note that in our motion. And then thinking about the fine.
And then come back to the specific names later if they specifically.
that's fine.
I
need to be.
think,
Yeah.
I think for clarifying purposes
Yeah.
and
Actually, hold on, and I have it. Pulling up the old agenda here, let's see if this sounds right to. I have that. Of course, back then, there were not only names on the agenda, so I will have to leave it. One more place, I'm gonna do this here.
only because if there's something in the bylaws that says if you're employed here, you can only serve if you're employed.
Okay, so Anna Anton, Yvonne Combs. Those were two who were on here, Allison, of course. Yeah,
And Letty.
and then Letitia, correct, because she's the most recent, yeah. Yeah,
Could I hear a motion that would excuse those four names and appoint the new list as members of the,
Can we make just a motion to excuse those and then make a new motion to bring on the new, just to make it clean?
Well, it also sounds like we would remove you as well.
Correct.
I do want to just make sure I'm understanding the new proposed list.
Yeah.
yes,
So I like the idea of dividing income.
could I hear a motion to remove Letty, Anna, Yvonne, Allison, and June? Thank you for your service.
So moved.
Second,
who was our
Kelly?
second? Sorry, oh,
Second,
Kelly was, okay. Thank you. Okay, I'll take roll on this item. Director Pimentel?
Yes.
June Fontaine?
Yes.
Elizabeth Smolovic?
Yes.
Kelly Strickland? Yes. And, Chair Gallagher?
Yes.
Thank you.
So then, according to my list, the new members would be myself and Director Pimentel, Matt Granges, Phyllis Stark, Margaret Morgan, Elizabeth Smolovic, Kelly Strickland, Valerie Panzich, Kirsten Palmquist, Gregory Gavoni, Roseanne Ferris. Did I miss anyone?
And then you have the alternates.
Louise Pierce as an alternate.
Trina and Robert.
I asked Robin about being an alternate, Trina not being here. She just came in. Hey, how are you?
Perfect time.
What about Carol?
Carol was, oh, sorry.
Carol was a member previously,
Carol was a member.
and she is not on the removal list.
So she stays on.
She stays on.
She stays on.
Thank you.
Thank you. That was definitely no thank.
Trina, how about if I clarify for you as we get to the end?
So that is 1, 2, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So that is 12 plus 3 alternates. That's the right now.
You need 7. Will be quorum. That's.
So,
I think we can do that with 15 bodies.
I hear a motion to make these the new appointees to the Employee Engagement
That
Committee.
is confirmed. Don't want to ask a clarifying question before we motion with Louise, Trina, and Robin. I assume you're okay with being in the alternate role. I just want to make sure.
Trina, then let me clarify. You okay? You're nodding with being an alternate?
Sure.
Okay. It's really for voting reasons. You can come to any meeting. If we lack people, you then become an active voting member and count for quorum. Okay, thank you.
But alternates are still participating members,
Sure enough,
committee and conversation.
yes.
I'll move the motion on the floor to appoint. We recommend to the board to
Correct.
appoint these 12 new members as listed.
Second?
Yes.
Thank you. All right, Director Pimentel and Kelly, thank you. I'll take a roll on this item. Director Pimentel?
Yep.
June Fontaine?
I'm not a voting member. I mean,
You are until the vote goes.
okay.
Elizabeth Smolovic?
Yes.
Kelly Strickland? Yes. All right, thank you.
And yes,
And Chair Gallagher,
no,
like, out of order now.
Okay. Director Gallagher, can I ask a question? I know,
certainly.
Is there a conversation period before the vote carries in these committee meetings, or does that not happen until the board?
There is, or there's supposed to be, and I've gone past that part of the last item. Thanks,
I have a bit of conversation if the
please.
opportunity can be made available.
Is it for this item?
It is indeed.
Please go ahead.
I'm really thankful for all the people who have volunteered to represent this committee. But I wonder if you might think about swapping out a nurse for non-nursing staff as an alternate, as sometimes the voice of the non-clinical staff also has an opportunity to share for the good of the order. And with Lizzie's voice and our critical care nurses' voices, I wonder if maybe we could swap out one of those people as an alternate for, say, Robin or Trina. Robin, I guess, is the only
Sure.
person. And I just say that, I know you can't respond on it, but I wonder if it's something that could be considered for the future or not ever considered, and we can move on to the next agenda.
Rosie, am I able to respond?
Since the vote has been made, I would say that would not be the best practice.
I think
Have a
that's fine.
conversation.
Thank you for the input.
Of course.
Much appreciated. The next agenda item, number 5, Employee Engagement Committee scope and work plan. After our last meeting, I had said I would put something together. There are copies of very generic draft on the back table and in the packet. My suggestion would be that we mull on this and bring it back at the next meeting. And in the meantime, people send me their input, which Rosie and I will collate and bring to the committee. Is that acceptable?
So that we read and understand the item number 5. In your discussion, your wish is to share sorry. Refer the item for future meeting.
Yes.
And allow for more input and then come back.
Yes. I think my generic first draft is a sort of place for people to start. To reach me, this is my district email up on the board. Rosie, how do I proceed with to defer number 5?
If there's any conversation to be had on this item at this time,
Yeah,
We may-
open it up for conversation.
Good enough. Anybody come online at all now?
well, that's fine.
Anybody in the room, please, with other thoughts or suggestions under scope and work plan?
I think it's an opportunity for new board members as they are voted on to have input, so deferring it would be wise.
Thanks. Do I need a motion to defer?
No,
Thank you. The next item would be meeting calendar. There are a couple of approaches. There are really two items. One is the frequency of the meetings, and the other is to set the calendar. It is required by the bylaws that we set the calendar or make an attempt to set the calendar at the first meeting of the committee. The bylaws say that at least yearly. I think that's to make sure we don't violate the bylaws. I'd like to see us meet. My preference would be every other month, but I think somewhere in that range is certainly open for discussion. So I would like to open the discussion of the meeting calendar. Item number 6.
Just a comment and then we can see if anybody from our public, teacher board members want to jump in. I'd ask if we defer this item as well to allow opportunity for our new members to show up at the next meeting and they can have some input as far as
Sure.
availability and frequency and let them have a voice in this. I recognize some of them are here today, so that could help. Otherwise, I'm generally supportive of the idea of meeting every other month.
Kelly, I didn't hear what you said.
I'd like to make a comment. Since we have been deferred for a very long time, and because we have some items that people have brought up, especially like policies and procedures and how to handle things and getting feedback, I think that my feedback would be that maybe at first we can meet more than every other month at first, just so we can address some of these other issues that we, give people feedback on, like the violent issues and the police and getting that information back, as well as what are we doing with Ps and Ps, and then maybe go QO to that every other month. But at this point, we've been not even having one for almost a year at this point. It seems like a year. And it's been kind of frustrating not being able to participate and just moving this forward. That's just my feedback on that, being part of it when we started up.
I think your work plan, this committee's work plan is gonna dictate how often you meet. So that the item that we just pushed back will dictate how ambitious or how many frequently you meet.
Did I hear a motion with regard to item number 6?
And
to work with five and defer.
I say before we take motion, go to the public and put our friends in the public and see what.
Could I ask for clarification?
I'm happy to meet every other month or more frequently, so I don't,
I feel comfortable with every other month. And again, and Kelly's. We've got things that are pressing to not put that, have that potential put off for 2 months, that would be sort of a delay. We're excited to work on.
My only feedback for this would be that we want to make sure we create time for due diligence, though, that these processes have are developed in an extensively operational way. I don't want to bring things back in a rush to have met our deliverables and then not have had time to do something as a single matter.
I agree with June. I think a lot of, what we put on the table is gonna really dictate the schedule. And I am honored and that we have you here as often as for it to be successful.
Any other input?
I'll say I agree with all of this and maybe, because so much is deferred and with new members, maybe the first meeting in a month or 6 weeks or something to kind of flesh out some and then maybe every other, every third debate, depending on what it determines is the next step after determining next steps. Or what the first step would be.
Thank you.
Something like that.
There's your motion with regard to item number 6.
I think we're just gonna continue the item and no motion required. But I appreciate your energy to get stuff done. I love it.
You know, what I'm mostly used to, and an editorial comment is that a motion's made, then there's discussion.
Yeah.
And so rather than this sort of trips me up a little bit. It's wonderful to get lots of input from around the room.
Yeah.
Those are the agenda items for today. Thank you everyone for participating. What time are we at? 3:42, Marcus?
Yeah, I just close with kind of in the space of this and maybe what plan is. As we schedule the next meeting, it doesn't have to wait 2 months. It's, it's when it works best. And maybe recommend that we start that meeting with a little bit of housekeeping. I mean, the Brown Act and the form of these meetings, there's some structure we should make sure everybody is familiar with and understands it's not meant to be what it's intended for. It often doesn't make it so collaborative. But maybe we should just start with some housekeeping in the next meeting.
I'd be glad to consider that. The reason I jumped in was there has been about a year or more delay. So that's why I wanted to jump to this, and I'm happy to sort of drop back and do background. We're adjourned. We talked about.
yeah.